Deighton, a lot of emphasis and a lot of your emphasis would have been put on the selection and the World Cup, the T20 World Cup selection. And that has been the, let's say, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
But don't forget, this group would have been selecting teams even before then.
Yes.
And I thought that when I listen to a lot of discussion, I don't get that a lot of importance is given to the overall record. But let's go back to the overall record. They did outside of what happened in the T20, as I said, which brought everything to that climax or to that top of the, I should say, but how would you have rated them outside of the World Cup, leading into the T20 World Cup? Their work before then?
Right. No, for more than 10 years, more like 15 years, in all formats of the game, we have been in the lower levels of the world table. We've tended to fluctuate around 7th, 8th, and 9th in the world in all formats of the game. So during their tenure, we got no worse, but we got no better. We were still fluctuating around that 7, 8, 9 region all the time. Good. And this is why I was saying to you, Wayne, and this is how I'm going to judge them, there has to be a plan. So, for instance, Oshane Thomas. He came on the scene, raw pace. We all saw him. It was exciting. He was really sending down thunderbolts. And you think when you see that, we have something to work with. So as a selector, you have to show me what's your plan for Oshane Smith. And let me be clear, not Oshane Smith, sorry, for Oshane Thomas. And this is why I made the point earlier that selection can't exist in a vacuum. It cannot just be selectors. The selectors have to be working with the coaches, and they have to be working with CWI for a mechanism to develop players and to help players respond to challenges in the international game. So since Oshane Thomas came on the scene, what happened? He seemed to have had a few fitness issues at some point. He's come back now, he's playing. And what are we seeing? Nothing. He's just bowling fast. And there seems to be no plan.
He's not even bowling as fast as he used to.
Exactly. He's not bowling as fast as he used to. So if you compare him, for instance, to Shaheen Afridi, in fact, that entire Pakistan seam bowling attack, in the death overs, you see bowlers consistently bowling 4 Yorkers and 2 very good slower balls.
Except in the World Cup.
Well, yeah, there's no day off, but that happens to every player in the world. But all I'm saying to you is, if you watch them consistently, I understand. If you watch them consistently over a period of time, you recognize they are capable of doing this. When do we ever see Oshane Thomas? And I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm just trying to highlight where's the plan. How often does he get the Yorkers in on point? How often does he get the ball within that narrow channel where there's not enough width? You get what I'm saying? Where is his bowling improving? Is he starting to swing the ball? Is he developing a good slower ball? What I'm saying is, if you want me to judge as a selector, you have to have a plan for this player. So if he has raw pace and nothing else, then there has to be a plan which includes the selectors, which includes an academy, if you like, or any mechanism that the CWI has to say, the next time I see Oshane Thomas, number one, he must still be consistently bowling over 140 kilometers. Number two, I must see an improvement in his accuracy. You set targets, whatever they are. I must see him being able to fire in 2 Yorkers and over on target. You get what I'm saying? There must be a plan to say, I expect this of him. So 6 months from now, a year from now, we can go back to that plan and say, are we being successful?
I actually like where you're going with this, Deighton, because you call it a plan, but I like the point that selectors do not operate in a vacuum. Who set this case? Who said? Right. Who makes that decision? Right. First of all, I said, okay, go ahead.
I'm glad you're going this way because I really want to explore this one. Right now, we said we're not renewing the contracts of these 2 players. But when they picked this team, sitting and watching this team, I asked myself, is this team really a Roger Harper and Miles Bascombe team? And let me tell you my thinking.
Well, you just
First of all,
but if you remember my theory
right,
that I got out the Ram shuffle along, yeah, you remember
right.
that very well.
First of all, remember when the selection panel was picked, I think I remember hearing in those interviews that they will be reporting to Dr. Shallow. I think he was responsible for them. And then they said the third member of that panel would be the coach, and the captain was sitting on all meetings. He would not have a vote, but he would have a say. So here are my questions that I raise in my own mind. I have observed Kieran Pollard for a long time. One of the reasons that he tends to ascend to captaincy in most teams that he plays in is because he's a strong, powerful individual. And I'm not just talking about physical strength. He has a strong personality. And I asked myself, can I see Kieran Pollard sitting in a room with two selectors and accepting what they're given? I cannot accept that team was not a team that he was happy with. I cannot accept that as a team that the coach was not happy with. I have to say that all of them must take responsibility for that team. So when you change the two selectors and then you leave the coach and the captain, have we fixed the issue?
Before I get there, though, Deighton, I want to ask, I still want to find out, have the West Indies cricket come up with a plan as to what are we doing? What kind of cricket are we going to play? What brand of cricket have we set for ourselves? What are the targets and the aims of West Indies cricket? Rather than just putting 11 men on the field and tell them go and play, there has to be a template laid down beforehand. Have we done that? And whether we have done it or not, who is responsible for that?
Okay, when you will recall that we had a program a couple of months back where I was talking about women's cricket. And I was mentioning the fact that as a new coach, Coach Walt should be saying to himself, the West Indies have been, in one-day cricket, for instance, the West Indies women have been scoring around about 150, 160, and we have to be looking to raise our average score up to 170, 180, then up to 200. Set yourself targets and where you're going. This is the plan I'm talking about. I don't see that in West Indies cricket. In fact, if you go back over the last 3 years in Test cricket, almost every Test match we play nowadays, not everyone, but pretty close to it, in at least one of the innings, we get bowled out for around 150, 160. That's not acceptable in Test cricket. So, right. So the selectors, the coaches, Cricket West Indies, and I'm going to say something about it in a minute, must be saying to themselves, if this is happening to us on a regular basis, over the next year, we have to move this from 160 to 180, 200, whatever it is. The point is you must see that there is an improvement in that team. And then you have to ask yourself how you do it. So here are some questions. You remember that selection panel you mentioned, the guy from Antigua?
Enoch Lewis?
Enoch Lewis.
Uh-huh.
I sat on the West Indies cricket board with Enoch Lewis. And this was about 8 years ago. And at that, when I came on the board, he was head of the cricket committee. When I left the board, he was still head of the cricket committee. Where did our cricket go in that time? Right. So we can't, and look, I'm not picking on Enoch because I think he's a very nice guy, actually. I like him. My point I'm making is he was head of this committee and there was no progress. But we changed the selectors. You see? No, it has to be a holistic thing. There has to be a plan that goes throughout the organization. Let me give you an example of probably my favorite cricketer. I have a very soft spot for Shea Hope, but I'm a very realistic man. In Test cricket, for all of the beauty that he brings to his batting, Shea Hope averages 25 in Test cricket. My question to you is, and I don't expect you to answer, but I'm just trying to say what we should be doing as a plan. We have to ask ourselves, is Shea Hope the future of our Test cricket? And if he is, what are we doing to move that average from 25 to 28, up to 30, up to 35? What is going wrong with him in Test cricket? What are we doing to correct those things? I'm not seeing that. Each time he plays Test cricket, I'm not seeing evidence
But Deighton, You may not expect me to answer that question. I can answer that for you very easily. Very little. Some people would say precious little that we were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I'm not saying evidence of anything, but I can't say what happens in the background because I'm not there.
Right. Well, whatever, if something's happening in the background, isn't working. But
exactly.
You know what?
That's a better statement.
I'm enjoying this. I haven't even come in much here because I'm really enjoying this. This joke, if you want to call it that. But you all can notice. Sorry. The Joel hasn't started yet. You see,
no, the Joel hasn't started.
It hasn't started yet. You see, I'm trying to give the viewers a little peek into the future.